What's up, Run family? This is April Pullins, better known as the Crazy Sock Lady, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked tonight because I have a guest that is an inspiration to me. When I started running 3 years ago, of course, we go on social media and we look and try to figure out how to run and who's running. And this lady just stood out. First of all, she was wildly dressed bright. And so, of course, that goes along with being light and being bright and our mission. But I started to see her as I started running races, and she was just so personable and so kind. And so here we are 3 years into my running journey, and Katie is here on the YouTube channel, live. Well, not live, but in person. Yay! Welcome.
Yay. Hello. Thank you.
Thank you
So
for coming on.
I'm very flattered and excited that you wanted me on your channel. This is very exciting.
Absolutely. So I wore this in honor of you. I'm not from Atlanta, and I know you're not either. I did some digging, but because of the running community here, this is one of the reasons why I really met Katie in person at some of the races. And I just want to jump in and just first tell me a little bit about who Katie is. And let me go back, because this woman, y'all are privileged to have her on, because I looked at her social media page today and she was like, this is my recovery day. It's my rest day. I am doing 5,000 different things. And so thank you so much for taking out the time from your kids and your family to be here.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm Katie Anaya. I live currently in Atlanta. So your Run ATL is representing, even though I'm not, I'm a transient, so a transplant. But yeah, today was my rest day. I have 3 boys under the age of 10.
Wow.
So today was definitely all about laundry and cleaning bathrooms. And it's just like my bedroom floor is just a mess. But it was supposed to be a rest day from my long run, which was yesterday, training for Chicago. So I did 21 miles yesterday. So it was supposed to be mama just, hanging out on the couch today, but that never
Mama
happened.
can never lay out, right?
No. But yeah, so I currently live in Atlanta. I've actually been on social media as long as people think. Like I got on Facebook back when it wasn't when I was in school, because obviously I'm a little older, turning 42 this year.
Yes, to the over 40 women.
Yes. So yeah, I started Instagram really just to kind of showcase just my life and my family. And then I got started into running, a little, backtracking. Like I was a runner in junior high and high school. I ran track. I was a hurdler. I was a champion hurdler in the 300 meters, 400-meter relay. Like I did all the sprints. Like I hated distance running. So it's funny that now I'm a distance runner and I actually hate running 5Ks. But yeah, so most people think like, oh, you've been running your whole life. And it's like, well, I got into running when I was younger, but then I actually stopped running in high school because I was in a pretty bad car accident. I had a sledding accident. So I ended up doing like a compression fracture on my spine. And that pretty much ruled out, having a collegiate, running track in school and having a scholarship for track. Which at the time I was thinking, it was going to be a big deal, but I was actually fine with academics. I did really well. So in hindsight, looking back and seeing my friends that were in track, it was just like college was meant to be like fun and sleeping in. And then I saw all my friends doing track, and it was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't have done, 5 a.m. workouts in college. Like that was, so maybe it was a blessing in disguise.
I saw
Yeah.
you post recently about the accident, and I was like, yet another layer that I find out about this amazing woman. When I saw that image, I thought, wow. And immediately what I thought of was all of the excuses that I've given, um, some of the excuses my husband gives, just the excuse of I can't. And when I saw that, I thought, there is no way. Like that accident like could have taken your life.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I got thrown from the vehicle, like thrown out of the vehicle and landed in snow, thankfully. But yeah, it's one of those things where someone was looking out for me that day because it was just who knows how it could have gone. And I look back now, like you could have like not walked again from accidents like that. And I'm running. Like it's a total blessing to be able to run. And I sometimes when I complain about these long runs, I have to think like, okay, at least I still get to run. And even though I get grumpy and
mhm,
have injuries or setbacks, it's
mhm.
like, okay, I have to remember like this is a blessing. Like we
Yeah,
get to do this.
yeah,
And so that makes it much better, even though, I still like
okay.
to complain how hot it
Yeah.
is. And
Like yesterday, this woman did 21 miles. You're training for Chicago Marathon. Now, this is not the first time you've run Chicago, right?
no, this will be my third
Wow.
Chicago.
Okay, and let's give the number. How many marathons? How many halves?
So let's see. So marathons, it's 12. I think it's 12. So this will be 13. Lucky 13. Half marathons, I'm at 73. I
Wow.
think I have my stats somewhere. I did a um, interview not too long ago and they wanted like the official. I was like, I don't even have like, the official dates. And
Who
I had
has
to
the
actually,
right? Like, who
right.
has those things?
Right. So that I had to actually sit down and I'm like, this is going to take me a while, but they just wanted to verify that I had done it. I think for half marathon maniacs, like
Okay.
they want you to verify too. So I'm pretty sure it's 73 official halves, which I'm trying to get to 100. That was
Okay.
always a goal of mine. And I
Why?
think it I think it's just because I like challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about doing crazy running challenges. And initially it was 40 halves before I turned 40. And I
Okay.
ended up doing like 45 or something
Wow.
before I turned 40. So then I was like, okay, I need
Let's
I
just
need
bump it
some,
up.
yeah, I need some other goals. So then it turned into running 40 miles on my 40th. So that's what I ended
Mhm.
up doing.
And you were pregnant
I was
when you were running.
Yeah, I
Turned
ran
40.
pregnant for
Okay.
the 40th. I was 4 months postpartum
Okay.
when I did the 40 miles. So that was that was a
Wow.
but yes, I've ran through all three of my pregnancies. Thankfully, I was able to run. I know
Mm.
that not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
With me, it was just not stopping, like
Mhm.
just continuously having movement every day, whether it's just going for a walk or a jog. So
Mhm.
that kind of conditioned my body to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But there's no like magic pill that allows some women to be able
Yeah.
to run pregnant and not. One pregnancy, I had to wear like a maternity belt, like
Okay.
with
To
the
support.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with this last pregnancy, I guess I did enough core strength and workouts and abdominal exercises that I didn't need any support. Like I just ran with the belly and it was fine. So
How
it's,
long did you run until you had to stop and was like, "Okay, it's time to take a break," or you didn't?
I didn't. Because that
Wow.
was the third baby was up in it was the last baby. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, we got to up these challenges. So I was like, all right, let's do something crazy. Let's do a half marathon every month. So every month of pregnancy, I did a
Wow.
half marathon. And then my last half marathon, I think, was 2 weeks before my delivery date.
Wow.
But I feel like I'm like just piling on the craziness.
Keep
But at the
it crazy.
but at the same time that that was going on, I was doing a run streak. So
Okay.
that was another layer of I have to keep moving every day. I have to get in at least a mile.
You
So
don't have to run 13 though every month of your
no,
pregnancy.
no,
That is legitimately like insane.
it's
That's
crazy. It's crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
That's that's dope.
I mean, yeah, the day of delivery, the nurses were like, because my I had 3 C-sections, so I had a scheduled delivery. So I knew I was going in on that date, had to be there at a specific time. And the nurses were like, "Oh, like, how did the morning go?" And my husband's just like, "Well, she ran on the treadmill." Like, they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got up at 5 a.m., ran on the treadmill, and then like 6 a.m. went into the hospital to have a baby." So they gave me some pretty weird looks, but yeah, I was able to do it. So I
Yeah,
thought my doctor was
definitely.
cool with it. Yeah, I wasn't doing anything to harm
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah,
Everybody, the doctor was like, I wouldn't recommend starting something new when you're pregnant, but
yeah,
you've been running every day.
yeah.
So
I
it
think
just
that
worked.
makes sense because, first of all, let me tell you, Black women be like, "Ain't nobody doing." We are eating, we're putting our feet up, talking about running. So I love I love that. I don't think I've ever met anybody who has run the length of their pregnancy. I've seen pregnant women run, but then I've definitely not known anybody to do a half marathon
Every
every
month.
month.
It's crazy. But it was so fun near the end when I was actually showing. I think this was during COVID. My third was during COVID, so there wasn't a lot of in-person races.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of virtuals, but here in Atlanta, the Publix half had they had organized something to do it on a racetrack, like in the
Oh,
middle of nowhere in Atlanta, because it was private property. That was the only way you could do a race was on private property because the city wasn't allowing races. So I signed up for that. It was like on the Motor Speedway in Atlanta.
okay.
But at that point, I was really showing that I think I was 7 or 8 months pregnant at that time. And it was crazy to be running next to people. And then, from the back, you can't really tell. But
Uh,
then they'd get up beside me and they're just like, "You're pregnant." Like,
yep.
so it's just so funny to be like, "What?" Like, no, like,
I'm sure people were like, "Let me hurry up and get going a little faster. Not gonna
it's
let this
just,
pregnant woman win."
I mean, it's just the look on people's faces like, "What are you doing out here?" I'm like, "I'm running
Um,
just like you."
yeah,
That just made it a little sweeter.
yeah, I'm sure. Definitely one of a kind. One of the things you mentioned in a previous podcast is that you don't do junk miles, or you said something about junk miles, and I was like,
Mhm,
I'm intrigued because I'm new, 3 years in the game, and I definitely know that I've got some junk miles. So for the
mhm.
people who don't know what that is, what is that?
So, whenever you sign up for a training plan, I know a lot of people do. I think Hal Higdon is a really popular online training. It's free.
Yeah.
Um, so, depending on the level of where you're at, so if you're already running 5, 6 miles and you sign up for like a half, it's you're going to be at a level where you're going to probably have longer mileage than someone who's starting from like a couch to 5K.
Mhm.
So a lot of those programs will have potentially 5, 6 days a week of running, depending on how intense the training plan is. So what's happened is that people typically assume that they need to run if it's 5 days a week and the training plan calls for 5 days a week, they need to run 5 days a week.
Mm.
But what I realized is I stuck to my training plans like to a T. But then when I was trying to train for a marathon and actually PR in my marathon, I realized that I was getting burnout. My body was breaking down. It was just really, really hard on my body to do that training plan to a T.
Mm.
So my run coach basically told me that, you don't need to run 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week. I was doing a training plan with just 3 days a week, like
Okay. That's
two days during the week, like speed
good.
work,
Yep.
tempo, and then one long run. Like
Yep.
that's it, 3 days.
Yep.
And my coach basically, he made me realize this concept of running those extra miles. They're just like junk miles. They're just extra miles that your body really doesn't need. Like you can do it with 3 days a week if you add in some cross training or strength training to kind of keep your body moving on those other days.
Mm.
There's no reason you need to like pound the pavement, because it's just adding additional stress to your body. If you're just trying to kind of get to the finish line and kind of get used to the process. I mean, if you're running half marathons every weekend and your body's conditioned for that, you could probably run every day.
Yeah.
But for most people, you need a rest day.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me this concept of like, well, you don't need to run these extra miles. It's just, they're just junk. Like your body, if you do really well on those workouts and you push really hard, give yourself a break. And then it's almost like you can actually perform better when you don't have those excess miles. So it's just something to look into when you're looking at training plans. Usually if they have, 4 or 5 days a week, a lot of the times I would just drop, a couple of those, because sometimes your body tells you like, oh, I've got to run today and a run tomorrow. The next day you might think, you know what, I just don't feel like it. Your body's not really into it. Then just drop it. Like your body's telling you it needs rest.
Let me tell you, the beginning of this journey for me was I'm a non-compliant person anyway. And I think hearing from your podcast when you walked during track and field, I was like, okay, she's like me. Like, you're not going to make me do anything that I want to do. But if I want to do something, I'm definitely going to do it. And in the beginning phases for me, I did like, I would stay up till 2 a.m. obsessing over YouTube videos. What does this mean? What does PR mean? What is it like? How to have a faster pace? And then I found some plans and I was like, I gotta do this on this day. Okay. And then this. And then I had a whole like Excel sheet and I was checking everything off. And I'm still at a place where I'm not doing as much CrossFit as I want to. And hearing that podcast, I was like, oh, you have to, because now 3 years in, I feel like I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. Like, I want to run a faster mile and I'm still teetering right where I'm not as bad. Like, I started off 17 because I was never an athlete with the drama, and don't ask me to do nothing. Volleyball for 2 weeks. That was it. So 17, and then now on a good race, maybe 11 and a half. And I'm like, oh, I still want to, get faster. But I think that's the secret sauce for
It
sure.
is. I was the same way. I when I started running distance running, my kids are trying to get in. When I started running distance like later in life, basically I just wanted to finish. I wanted to just talk to my friends, and I was running really slow and I didn't really care. And then I thought, oh, if I actually tried, what kind of time could I get? And my times were pretty decent, but I just could never get past that. It was just kind of like I was just stuck. Like I was doing the miles, I was doing but I wasn't doing anything else. Like running was my only form of exercise, because I thought, what else do you need to do?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started getting injured, like as the mileage went up, then my injuries started creeping up, like everything, like Achilles tendonitis, IT band syndrome, gluteal tendinopathy, which is what I currently have, runner's knee, like everything started creeping up. And I got to a point where even my family were saying, maybe this isn't for you. Like maybe distance running just isn't for you. And I was so defiant. I was just like, no, like, I can do this. I can do this. And I went to physical therapy for years and years, like dry needling,
Mhm.
everything, like just thinking, what is wrong? Like, tried new shoes. And then one of my coaches was just kind of casually like, oh, well, you're strength training on the side, right? And I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
I
I
run. I say I'm a runner, okay?
was just like, no, like, I don't want to get big and bulky. Like,
Huh?
and it was just that light bulb kind of went off. Like, well, yeah, you have to, if you're going to do a half marathon, like your body has to be strong to be able
Mhm.
to handle that kind of mileage, or it's going to like chew you up and spit you out. Like, you're just going to feel like crap. And I'm thinking, oh, he's right. So I just started incorporating just like body weight exercises,
Mm.
using like a band, like not even lifting weights.
Yeah.
And I noticed that my injuries started going away. Just magically, I wasn't getting injured. I thought, oh, this makes sense. Your
Yep.
body's stronger, so you're not getting injured when you try to do these long miles. And then I upped the strength training. I started incorporating heavier weights. I started
Mhm.
doing CrossFit. And that's when I started noticing my times were significantly getting faster because my body was much stronger. So I could push it like those speed workouts, I could push it just a little bit more. And that's how I PR'd. That was the only way I could PR, was by adding in strength training and lifting heavy weights. I mean, I never got big and bulky, and I
That's
wasn't,
amazing. Right.
you know, but I actually felt strong, and
Mm.
that's how I PR'd. And it's interesting that I've kind of backed off on my strength training the past couple years. I've kind of eased up on it, and I haven't PR'd my marathon in a couple years. So like
Mhm.
they're
Correlated.
parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I have not even begun to do what I need to do because I'm like,
It's
okay,
hard.
it is, especially having I have 3. I won't say boys because 2 of them are grown. I have all men in my house. But I have a husband, I have a 7-year-old, and then I have 2 grown adults. And I have all boys. But it is very challenging as a mom to set a schedule and say, I'm going to be consistent with this schedule, not only running, but okay, now I've got to add weights. Now I got to go to the gym
Mhm.
sometimes. And
Mhm.
now I got to eat right. And so I applaud you because you have little ones under 10.
Mhm.
And most women are like, can I just go get a bottle and a little glass of
That,
wine?
yeah, that sounds lovely.
But
Yeah,
how do you?
you have to get up before they get up.
Yeah,
That's the only way. I'm too tired in the evenings.
sure.
I applaud people that can work out after work, that go running after work. I just can't do that. I have to do it first thing in the morning, or I won't do it. And
Hmm.
the same with running. Like, I'll go to run clubs, which are like social run clubs during the week, and those are after work. And I typically just go to socialize because I'm thinking I don't like running in the evening. Like, I'm here just to hang out.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I was doing, once COVID hit, I was doing a lot of at home workouts. I started doing Beachbody or Peloton or just anything I could get my hands on. I'd wake up at like 4:35 and go downstairs and do my workout. And then I'd either run on the treadmill or go do my track workout and try to get everything in before my kids got up.
Yeah.
And you're done for the day. Like, you
Yeah.
got it in, and it's such a great, like,
You
I don't know,
feel
yeah, you're starting your day, you're like, I just ran 5 miles and lifted weights before everybody got up. Like, it sets the
right.
tone for the day, and you feel a lot better. I have more energy. Um, but you have to get in that routine. Like, once I got out of that routine for a while, like this
Mhm.
past year,
It's
I had injuries and I had surgeries, and I got out of that cycle, and it was hard to get back
Mm,
into it. It's
for
like,
sure.
ugh, getting up
I'll
at 5.
try to I'll try to wake up like, okay, if I wake up at 6. I'm like, there's no way you can wake up at 6 o'clock and get the child off at 7 and work out. I'm like,
Yeah.
trying to bear. No, you're going to have to wake up a couple of hours earlier
Yep.
because I have to poop every morning. I'm just saying, I do.
We all do. We
The
all
other
do.
day, I went for a run and it was earlier than the normal time, and my body was like, this is 4 a.m. You can't poop at 4. You have to after 5:30.
Yeah. Your body's on a cycle, and yeah, I don't drink coffee, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of like doing dynamic stretches and like
open it.
jumping around, like just try to get things moving. I guess if you have a
Oh.
treadmill, you can always stop the treadmill and get off the
Mm.
treadmill, but
But if you're out for a run, it's like, I just want y'all
yeah.
to know if I dip off, what's
Bring
happening.
bring some baby wipes. That's the benefit of having small children. I always have baby wipes on.
I gotta ask you, since we're on this topic, and you've run over 73 or 73 halves and lots of marathons, 12 marathons. Tell me about a time where it has been the most weirdest or most embarrassing, or a time where you're like, oh my
I'm like, I don't know which stories are appropriate for
God.
audiences. Um, I have a really embarrassing, I don't think I can even say that story. Um, I I've definitely had situations where I'm on training runs, and there's one situation specifically where I was on a training run and I was on like a trail and I was like had stomach issues, I'm like way out in the middle of nowhere, and thankfully I had baby wipes. But it's like sometimes you're doing like long miles, like in Atlanta we have Silver Comet, where
Mhm.
you're just doing these long out and backs and there's
Yeah.
no one around. This was not on Silver Comet, so everybody can.
People were like, oh, like you have no idea what's happened now. Like,
But yeah, I just, I'm way far away from home. I was having stomach issues and I'm like, okay, nobody's around. So I just, go off into like the wooded area, like off the trail, but not too far because I didn't want to get like, it was in the dark
right.
and I just had like my flashlight. So I'm like, okay, good to go. Everything's fine. And then I just kind of like buried with some pine straw and whatnot. And I'm like, okay. So as I'm like leaving, like this guy's like coming on the trail with his dog. And I'm just kind of like, okay, no big deal. Like, I think I had left, I left the wipe, like I buried the wipe with it. That's so embarrassing. So the guy like gets on the trail with his dog, and I'm thinking, oh no, like the dog is gonna like go over there, and then I'm just gonna have to act like I was not the only person on this trail at like 5 in the morning and it's pitch black and I've got my like light on. So sure enough, the dog's just kind of like chilling, going around sniffing stuff, and like goes off to the side of the trail. And all I see is like a baby wipe getting like pulled out from underneath the pine straw. And I was just mortified. I just like took off running, thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy's dog just like, because yeah, he was just kind of like, whatever, let him go sniff around and maybe find some food. I was so embarrassed. And I was just, thankfully, I didn't know the guy. Thankfully, nobody else was around. But I was thinking, like, in those situations, you're like, no one's
Right.
gonna be around. You're safe. But no, like that kind of stuff, it just, yeah. I try to make sure I go every time at home before I leave the house. So
Well, now I didn't know to carry baby wipes, so I will always have baby wipes. I always have tissue because my nose constantly is running.
or tissue. I mean,
But
I
no,
guess
not
I I
enough
guess I always
tissue.
have baby wipes because of my kids, but
Yeah,
yeah, like when it's colder and your
yeah,
sinuses just dump out, like
yeah.
you have to have something, or you're just going to be like snotting all over yourself. So
Rocket
glamorous. So glamorous. My pooping in the woods story. Yes.
or the snot rockets. What do they call them? The like
I think,
all,
yeah, snot rockets,
all of these things I never knew about until, and I'm
which
like,
you have to practice that because
you
I'm
do.
I'm horrible at that, and I end up just blowing it on my arm, and so I do not do those anymore either. Or blow it on at the LA marathon. There were so many people, and I'm like trying to do a snot rocket, and this guy came up right next to me, and I just blew it all over his arm. So that
Oh,
happens too in race.
yeah, yeah. I was running yesterday and I tried to like nice little spit out because I have terrible allergies that I don't take medicine for. And I'm like, okay, nobody's there. And I tried to shoot it into the grass and it just went out my face.
Yeah.
And
See,
I'm hoping nobody, I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah. So that kind of stuff.
nice little like, yeah, it's just skincare.
It's just sweat. That's what that is. The white blob there. Oh my God.
I mean, it's very. I've learned like being part of like running groups and running communities, like things that are just so disgusting, and everyone talks about like just stuff that you're like, okay, I can't believe we're talking. Like, I would never
Uh-huh.
talk about this stuff with my work
Yeah.
friends, but
Right.
it's just we all kind of share these same
Yeah.
common like problems and bathroom problems. And I mean, people running races and having bathroom issues during races, and they just keep running. And I'm like, I mean, you're trying to Boston qualify and
You
you got
gotta
to
do what you
go.
gotta do.
I don't know if I could do that, but
They do.
they do.
I'm
And
learning so much. I love the beautiful thing about running is that I have this community of people now that I didn't realize how important they would be. When I started my journey, it was I was depressed and I just needed a relief, like not an athlete, lost income, right? When COVID happened, and I was like outside my house, like I just got to change something. And I know if I can just get outside, then I'll feel better. But then I
mhm.
thought I was going to get out and start running, just like boom, bam, thank you, ma'am. And I was like, this is hard. I don't really know if this is it. But then I started
This
seeing,
sucks.
right. I saw somebody, a friend lost 70 pounds. I was like, I don't need to lose weight, but I love how she's happier. And then they said, hey, join this group. And then I got involved. And then Atlanta, really, I don't know if you've seen this outside of the state of Georgia, but I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in Arizona. I've never seen a running community, unlike, I guess, New York too, right? But
Yeah.
Atlanta is really special,
Mhm.
really uniquely special. And it's like
Yeah,
a
it is. I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma. I moved to Texas. I lived in Los Angeles, and then I lived in Washington, D.C. before I moved to Atlanta. And in LA, there was a pretty big, they had a bunch of running LA road runners, and they had running clubs, but it wasn't, it, it was classic like LA. It wasn't, I
Mhm.
didn't feel a connection. I just kind of, I almost felt
Superficial.
intimidated. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then it wasn't until moving to Atlanta, just, you hear all this running city USA, and like I learned about the Beltline and just all these areas that are meant for pedestrians and for cyclists and for runners. And I loved how the city kind of built this
Mhm.
network to kind of allow people to run. I thought, wow, that's really awesome that the city's doing that. And then I got involved in when I was trying to meet people, I got involved with She Runs This Town. There was in the city that I'm in, Decatur, they had a Decatur Moms Runs This Town, like all these different chapters. So I met mom running friends because
Mhm.
I'm a new mom. I'm trying to like meet women that have similar interests that like to run, pushing strollers, like that kind of allowed me to get that network. And
Yeah.
then I joined Atlanta Track Club. And then that allowed me to kind of get into more of like more racing and more competition and more social events. And it just grew and grew and grew. Like now there's Atlanta Run Club. Like, I mean, that's just to name a few. There's tons of like run clubs in Atlanta, and everybody's so supportive. And you see people at races, and you start to like recognize faces, and it's like, hey, like you're getting to see your friends, and like it makes you like have this network of this support network. And it's crazy how, and even on social media, like strangers can sometimes be more supportive than people in person. Like
Yeah.
everybody's just like rooting for you, and wanting to follow along your journey. I mean, that's what got me really into more social media, was just sharing my experience. Like I was proud of what I was able to do running pregnant. And I thought people would ask me questions like, how did you do this? What are you wearing? Like, how did you do that? What were you eating? And at the time, I didn't have a blog. I didn't have any
Yeah.
YouTube stuff. I just thought, well, I'll just post what I'm doing. And it's not a one size fits all, but it allowed me to build this network of like other moms that run pregnant, and people that were becoming pregnant or thought about having children and wanted to not stop their running career. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that was like, wow, like I'm getting connected to all these people, whether it be in Atlanta face to face or on social media. So like, I don't want to give that up. Like
Right.
I love that network. I love that community. And the fact that we have it in Atlanta, it's great. Like there's so many of us. Like Atlanta Track Club's like the second largest run club in
Yeah.
the United States. Like
Yeah.
it truly is like a great city for running, and it's hot and it's hilly and it doesn't make sense, but
But it's nice most of the like outside of the hot summer months.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice.
I look, so last run was a 10 miler yesterday. Saturday was yesterday, yes.
Mhm.
And I went with, I call them the Run Boos, Black Girls Run, and somebody chose a route in the center of Atlanta, Centennial. I don't know Atlanta because I'm new here, like maybe 13 years in, and I'm just into the running like 3 years in. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it's kind of hilly. Everywhere you go in Atlanta is hilly. Oh
Mhm.
no. I don't know what the street was, but the one street downtown that continuously goes this way.
Oh,
And
up to Centennial Park, Olympic
yes.
Centennial Park, going
Yeah.
up the hill to the, what is it, the Ferris wheel? I
Uh-huh.
forgot
Yes.
what they call it. And it
I was so upset. I was
yeah,
like, first of all, it's a long
that's
run.
bad.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
really bad, and it was hot and humid. But I don't think I would have no, I would not have been able to do it if it had not been for the community that was around me,
Oh,
because
yeah.
there was no way. At mile
Yeah.
2, I was like, "I don't think I can finish this."
Mhm.
So, this community here is something special.
Yeah, it just running by yourself, that's when your mind starts to wander and you're just kinda like, "Oh, I'm kinda tired. I just wanna stop." Like, nobody's gonna care. Like,
No.
but if you have just one person with you, you're both kind of like in misery, and you're both like, all
Right.
right, let's just walk for a little bit. Let's just get our
Yeah.
heart rate down, and let's try again, and let's take a break. Let's, just kind of that motivation. I mean, I couldn't have done yesterday
Mhm.
running, because I have my bestie that I run with in Atlanta, and we're both
Hey,
we
Judith. I always see Judith. Oh,
Um, no, we started running together right before the pandemic,
wait.
and we signed up for every single virtual race we could find, and did like the Yeti challenge and just all this crazy stuff, because we knew if we couldn't, we needed that motivation to like keep running. And so the two of us just like, I mean, after the pandemic, we were just like, "Okay, I can't do any more virtual races. Like I'm so sick of virtual races." But it's that accountability. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just kinda like, "Oh, are you running tomorrow?" And if she's not, and I'm thinking, "Okay, I gotta run by myself,"
Come on.
maybe I want, it's like
Mhm.
this that keeps you going, and it's been really helpful. So finding just one person, I
Yeah.
mean, but if you can find a group, that's great.
Mhm.
So I
A lot of
totally,
people, they're like, "I
yeah.
don't have anybody," and I'm like, as best as you can, try to find, like you said, just one person because 'cause it'll definitely make a difference on your
Yeah, just like look on Facebook groups. Strava will have groups. I mean, a lot of cities always have, not everybody lives in Atlanta, but people run all over the place. It's
right,
just trying to find someone in your community that's close enough, or someone that goes to your kid's school that likes, I mean, it is hard because
mhm,
that was hard for me in DC when I had my first child. It was hard trying to not only navigate motherhood, but trying to find like mom friends, and then
yeah,
trying to find mom friends that like to run. It
right,
was just like, oh my gosh, this is
smaller, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
like mom dating is what it is.
Let's see, do we vibe or not? Okay. Well, I
Yes.
got 2 last things I want you to, um, first, I want you to talk about the new runner, like, if somebody's brand spanking new, what best advice do you have for that person?
Okay. So my first
And they're over and they're over 40.
oh, okay. Even better.
No young bucks.
Even better. Yeah, because the young kids are like,
I can get out here and eat.
they start running, and then the next thing it's like, oh, I'm Boston qualifying my first.
Right,
I'm just like,
right.
okay, get out of here. No, I'm super happy for them, but I'm just, yes, over 40. I mean, the first question I would always ask is when people see, well, when I have friends and family that come to races and like come to the finish line, they see that excitement of like a marathon finish, like it's an event in itself. Like it gets people emotional just being there. And
Wow.
so I know that feeling of people that aren't runners, and they see that and they're like, wow, I want to be a part of this. Like, what do I need to do to, how can I get here? It's always like, well, what's the motivation? Is it because you want to lose weight? Is it because you want to have some sort of extracurricular activity outside of work? If you just want to like do something for yourself, it has to be for you, because you're not competing against, you're not you're not going to win first place. I mean, you're not Shalane Flanagan. I mean, you're not
Right,
Des Kipchoge. Like, that's not us.
right.
So you're competing against yourself, and you don't even have to run races. Like,
Yeah.
you can be a runner and not do a marathon. You can be a runner and you can walk. But just getting out there, I highly recommend like the Couch to 5K apps, like any sort of app that kind of just gets you out there, just to kind of do a walk run, like do a minute and then 30 seconds, like just something to get moving, to get your body like adjusted to it. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then being older, you probably have kids, or you might have pets, or you've got responsibilities, you've got a job, you're not a young kid with no responsibilities, like living in your parents' house.
Right.
So you have to find a good time that works with your schedule. It's not going to be fun and easy in the beginning, because like with everything, like it takes time for your body to get adjusted. But for the most part, I feel like it's very therapeutic.
Mhm.
At least I found that to be, whether I'm by myself or with friends. So just like you said, just getting outside, it does wonders for you. It'll help you get healthier. So I see all the pros, but
Mhm.
sometimes people are more focused on certain things that they're going to get easily frustrated by.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's always like, well, where do I start? Like, I
Mhm.
highly recommend like those apps that you can download, that it's on your phone and it beeps at you and it talks to you and you don't have
Walk
to do
down.
anything. Yeah. I mean, it's how it does all the work for you. You just have to listen,
Yeah.
or the podcasts, or I know Peloton has those
Mm-hmm.
running where, the person, they've got music and they're
Mm-hmm.
telling you like, all right, we're going to walk for 30 seconds and you've
Yeah.
got someone in your ear. Those are great tools other than just trying to go run a mile. Like,
Right. That's harder. People don't think, like, people see you, they see me, and they go, "Oh, you've done this." And the mile, like, respect the mile. Like,
mhm.
because that first mile for me, I'm like, I don't know if I can do 10. The
Yeah.
first mile, somebody said it's a liar because you literally feel like, and so for me, I think of when new people start, they say they get to that mile and they feel like they're so defeated and exhausted.
Mhm.
There's so much more after that first mile. Your body's just trying to get
Yep.
adjusted.
Yeah, it takes, for long runs, it takes me about 2 to 3 miles to
Mhm.
actually get comfortable.
Yep.
If it's a speed work day and I have to go to the track and I have to do a mile warm up, after that first mile, I'm ready to go home. Like, I don't
Mhm.
even want, sometimes I'm just thinking like, I don't want to do this. Like,
Yeah.
that first mile sucks. Like,
Yeah.
and we don't warm up properly. We don't, you know, we just don't. We
Yeah.
don't. I mean, you just want to get started. You just want to go. So that first mile, it really does like get your body ready, but it can be a make or break.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have to get that out of the way and then take a break and like regroup and be like, okay, now let's try it again. Like,
Yeah.
now let's keep going.
Yeah. I came home. I remember running 2 miles and I was so elated and I was in tears. And I came home and my husband was like, he was just like, so? And I couldn't express to him how much of an achievement that was for me because I was like 17-minute miles because I was walking and running, doing the couch to 5K, and I
Mhm.
ran for 2 miles. I was like, I felt like I had won
Yep.
first place. And for
Mhm.
anybody who is starting out, like, it is a big deal. If it's a half a mile, if it's just you're getting out and running for 60 seconds, like, it's a major deal. And your body is becoming conditioned as you go through this journey and you just can't stop.
Mhm.
I want to run forever and ever. And I do want to get to like 9 and 8 minutes, but I, of course, can't have any junk miles, Katie. Like, I am. But no, this
I
has made me accountable.
I mean, think of junk miles like junk food. Like,
For sure.
in order for you to run, for your for you to be conditioned, like junk food, as much as we all love it, it's going to weigh you down. Like, it's just, that's why it's called junk food. So junk miles are just the same thing. It's just extra miles that it's not helping your body. Your body's tired, your body's worn out, and you're just breaking it down even more. And then the next day, you're going to try to do a speed workout and expect that you're going to hit these paces that your body's never done before, because it
Right.
just doesn't.
Mm.
I mean, it's just, it doesn't work for everybody. There's people that run. I did the run streak too, but I noticed that doing a run streak, I hadn't PR'd prior to the run streak. And people have said, like, do you think you'll ever do a run streak again? And do you think that it limited your ability to, push harder and get faster paces? I'm like, it did. It limited, it never allowed me to truly rest. I
Mm.
just kept going and going and going. And I was able to do it and I was able to still run marathons, but I didn't
You
get
wanna
faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever do a run streak
Mhm.
again, because I realized how much my body was missing rest.
Recovery. And that
Right.
disclaimer, y'all can do what y'all wanna do if y'all wanna run streak. I'm on a run streak till the end of this month, and I realized I decided to do the run streak because I was going through anxiety this summer, and I was like, "I just need to start back in a
Yeah.
consistent manner." But then I decided to do the half in Chicago, and I'm like, this isn't working. Like this, because I do want to have a recovery day. I want to have a rest day. So what I've adapted was I'm just going to run. I mean, I'm just going to walk for
Mm-hmm.
the days that, you know, I'm supposed to be streaking.
Yeah.
If I run 10 miles and it's 95 degrees, I'm not going to try to run the next day. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
walk, and
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. I don't really care if you call it a streak or not. But it is. It makes a difference when you are training for something. Now, if you're just run streaking and just want to be streaking, okay. But like you said, you don't really see an improvement because your body's kind of like at baseline, just doing what it does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helpful.
And and I mean, it's funny that I did the run streak, and then I think when I got done doing that, like even my husband was like, "Well, who are you doing this for?" Like in
Mm.
a way, kind of like nobody cares. Like I
They
mean,
all
not.
have a
I
way,
mean,
don't
nicely. It's kind
Yeah,
of like you're. No one's telling you to do it. No one's
right.
telling you to run every day. You kind of just set these goals in your mind, and then
Yep,
when you don't do it, I just felt like, well, I have to run because
yeah,
I've been running every day for a year. I can't stop. Like it just kind of got in my mind of, oh, I'm gonna have a baby. Like I can't stop. Um, but once I was forced to stop, that's when I
mhm,
realized, oh, you know what? No one's making me do this. Like,
yeah,
I need to do what works best for me.
yeah,
So, modifying it to do a mile walk, like,
yeah.
do what you want to do. Like,
Matters.
you're still getting out there every day. You're still streaking.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
modifying it. Like, and it
yeah,
doesn't. No one's gonna care. Like, it's your thing. Like, this is
right,
meant to be your thing, and
right.
you
Yeah,
should enjoy it. So
yeah,
I
for
say,
sure.
yeah, you're still streaking. You're doing it.
I am doing it my way. So,
Exactly.
last thing, what is up next for Katie? What do you have on the calendar?
Well, so Chicago is next. The next big thing is Chicago. Um, Ironically, after Chicago, I'm planning to take a pretty long break from marathons,
Okay,
and focus back on like my half marathon. Like
getting your base
that's
back.
yeah, my half marathon is my favorite distance. It always has been.
Mhm.
It doesn't require a lot of
Time.
recovery and planning and like nutritional, like,
Yeah,
it's like a marathon, you have to really get your nutrition in and how it breaks down your body. And half marathons aren't really like that. So
right.
it's just the perfect distance for me. Um, I mean, I was knocking out like 2 marathons a year, and it just I never had an off season. I never had time to like get stronger and like try to get my times faster because I was always in marathon training mode.
And that's intense. I've done once, and I felt like my life was everything was marathon training. I couldn't go
It's a
anywhere
full-time
'cause
job.
it
It's a
is.
full-time job. Yes.
Wow.
So it's it's weird because I I'm so used to having a marathon every year or 2 marathons every year, but um yeah, I want to get back to how I was years ago and get stronger and focus more on strength training and go back to like the basics of what I really liked, which was the half marathon. So I've proven to myself that I can do marathons, but there was never a goal to get so
That's
many
right.
marathons. It was just they were really hard and I wanted to prove that I could do it. And even now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the third time I've ran Chicago. I'm like, I don't think I'm good on Chicago.
I
But
predict
it's so
I
fun
predict
though.
that you are going to go back and do your base and get stronger, and then you're gonna Boston qualify, and then it's gonna be like, boom, bam, thank you, ma'am.
I mean, that is a goal on the horizon because I'm in a few years I will be upping my, qualifying time. I guess I'll be adding, I'll be in a new age bracket.
Yeah,
So I keep that in mind, that if I just wait a couple years and I kind of calm down and like focus back on the basics,
Yeah.
that maybe I could actually do it instead of trying to do it now, like playing catch up. Like
Yeah.
it's not
If
working.
you
So
do, I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna fly out and I'm gonna be like, okay. Because I have
I'll,
no goals of doing that race.
even for like, well, see, I always told myself if I didn't qualify, I would do the charity just to get the experience of Boston. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to qualify. But if it's not in the cards for me, I'd still like to do it. And I have no problem like
My nowhere, my gut says that you're gonna qualify. I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there in the universe. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. So
Well, thank you, Katie, so much. I really do appreciate your time. And
of
we always
course.
say, be light, run bright on this fitness journey, wherever that may take you. If it's running, if it's CrossFit, if it's swimming, if it's whatever it is, just always shine bright. And you've been such a light. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
That's what the kids do, right?
I think I do. I'm not even gonna try.